So, tonight we are happy to have you join us here in this discussion, parenting. Last time I saw a comment on Facebook. Someone was asking that there was a post on parenting, and the guy was like, "Hey, so now you're going to teach us how to raise our children to online." You see, and what I realized was that parenting, like learning parenting, was sort of a whole new concept, and it was quite new to it's quite new to people. Okay, it's just until recently that we started finding content online, people really teaching what parenting is about, how to raise your children, for them to be responsible, and all that. Okay, so there are a lot of misconceptions about parenting, and tonight we are going to discuss and also try debunking some of these misconceptions. Now, we are going to look at just three of these myths, okay? These three misconceptions on parenting. And the first one is parenting is not learned. All right. There are a lot of people, if you tell them that parenting is learned, I'm going to teach you how to parent, I'm going to teach you how to raise your children. It sounds some way to some people. So people think that uh, because by the fact that you are a parent, or by the fact that you've given birth, or you have a child giving birth to you, your wife has given birth to a child for you, you're a parent. So you can effectively raise the child well. The other misconception that we are also going to look at tonight is the old adage of spare the rod and spoil the child. Okay, some of us when we were young, it's been years, decades. This adage is quite old. So spare the rod and spoil the child, and it's common among Christians a lot, and they even refer it to a Bible quotation. Today we are going to look at that one too. Why this is a misconception. Okay, and the last one is parenting is about the child. A lot of people think that parenting is all about the child. My child is not this, my child is not that. It's about the child. The child does not listen, the child is stubborn, and all that. Okay, tonight we are going to understand why this is a misconception, and parenting is not just about the child. Parenting is not about the child. Parenting, what is parenting all about? So, Ikuya, I would like you to tell us what you introduce yourself once again to us. I already did, but I think that you have to do it again, and we don't have enough time. So we will delve straight into the first point, which is parenting is not learned. The misconception that parenting is not learned. What can you say about? Briefly introduce yourself to us, to our viewers, and tell us what you think is parenting is not learned. Why do parents have this misconception?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to you all. My name is Ikia Safo, and I'm a parent coach. I'm a co-founder of the Pick Parent Academy. And per our discussion, our topic tonight, some of the common misconceptions about parenting. I mean, there are a lot of misconceptions about parenting. And the first one, as we are talking about, is that parenting doesn't, you don't need to learn parenting. Now, a lot of people, have this misconception that I don't have to learn what I was parented. After all, my parents didn't learn how to parent. The issue of parenting is something that has to be of a concern to all of us, okay? And the fact that you have given birth, or the fact that you are able to donate sperm, the fact that you are able to, you've been able to get pregnant, doesn't mean that you automatically qualify to raise a child. Parenting is a skill and it has to be learned. So why is this so? So we realize that most of the times we tell ourselves that we are going to raise our children differently. We are not going to raise our children from the way we were raised. The fact that you are pointing these things out means that there is something wrong, and you know that there is a better way you can raise your child.
Yes.
That fact alone, if that or it shows that you know that there is a way that you can raise your child differently from how you were raised. So that alone it shows that parenting has to be learned. Parenting is a skill. It's an art that has to be learned. You don't just become a parent. It's not something that we are born with. It's not innate. I mean, it's not naturally given to us that once you give birth, you should automatically know how to parent a child. No, it is something that we must learn. We must learn. So this is what I would want to say. And mostly we say that our children, our parents didn't have to learn parenting. When you compare the time that we were raised to today, I mean the difference are so clear. Today you are able to have easy access to the internet. In our time, it wasn't like that. Today, just a click, you on this site, and the child is exposed to a whole lot of things. They are exposed to porn, all sort of activities online that are not supposed to be seen by this child, but they have access to it. So they are dealing with a whole lot of things that we need as parents to be, we need to be skilled, we need to learn to be able to help these kids. Of course, our parents did what they knew was right. They knew what they had to do. Like that is what they thought was right. They had to raise us that way. But today, we can't leave it to chance. In this 21st century, we need to plan, we need to learn to be able to give the child something that they will forever be grateful for. And because of this, I know that we all believe that parenting is something that we must learn. So
Okay.
this is what I want to say.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. Yes. So I understand why you think, or why parenting, the myth or the misconception that parenting is not learned. People think that their parents did not learn parenting, but they turn out well. That's at least what it seems. Okay.
Yeah.
They've turned out to be great leaders. They've turned out to be politicians. They've turned out to be entrepreneurs and all of that. Okay. Yes. But there's something I also want to point it out clearly to everyone watching us, that parenting is a divine contract. Okay. Parenting is a divine contract, and parenting is a full-time job. The reason I say parenting is a divine contract is that, you see, the very moment you decide to have that sort of intercourse with the opposite sex, you are bidding for a contract, and you win the contract by pregnancy, by you having to get pregnant. So immediately you enter into negotiations and you bid for the contract by entering or having that intercourse with the opposite sex. You are
Mm,
bidding for a contract. If you are
mm,
lucky, the woman gets pregnant, and that is when you've won the contract. So if you can effectively execute or start executing a contract, then that is when birth comes in. So immediately a child is born unto you. You've been given a contract. God is no longer creating human beings by himself anymore. He's using other human beings to continue that creation. So you've been given the contract to continue God's work by bringing other human beings into this world so that they can achieve the purpose for which they were brought into this world.
mm,
And
mm,
whether you win at this contract or you fail at this contract depends on how well you bring up the child. So it is a very serious thing. If someone wins the contract of parenting, then it means that the child has grown up to be a responsible adult who has become of so much importance and value to the society in which the child was born into. That is why
Yes.
I keep on saying that parenting is a full-time job, but most of us approach it like it's a part-time thing. Now,
Mm,
you know, parenting, if the reason, one of the reasons to why most people think that parenting shouldn't be learned, and we attribute that to, we have the historical perspective and also the cultural perspective to this whole thing, to this whole misconception. For instance, you know, in centuries past, in the past, okay, We used to live typically in Africa. We used to live by communities. So you have a
Yeah.
household where you have the great grandparent, the grandparents, the parents, the children, the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. They are all living. So you even happen to have about five generations. I've lived when I was young. We lived in a house that the landlord was living with his grandparent, and the landlord himself also had great grandchildren in the house. So it's about five generations through. Now, what happened
Wow.
was that, you know, these older people had a lot of experience. They had tried parenting, they knew what would work and what would not work. And the period of ushering people into parenthood was some sort of like was more like an automatic thing that happened because you are living with your grandparent or your great grandparent who is able to pass on his knowledge or her knowledge and experience to you directly. You are in the same household, so it doesn't become too difficult for you to understand how you're raised or you're going to grow up into becoming an adult. You understand? So those times these people, these elderly people, were not able to document how they brought up children. They had already tried the systems that work and the systems that do not work. And because you're living with them, you pick it up as you're growing. So it becomes natural, it becomes second nature to you. Now, fast forward this modern day. A lot of people, even there are families that only visit their hometowns or their grandparents or the elderly let's say once every 2 years or sort of thing. Because of technology and migration and all that, we have been separated. So you rarely have about three generations living in a home. So we are a bit of a sort of disconnected from the experience and the immense knowledge that these elderly people had. And we are also battling with technology these days. Because you see, now those times, because it was more of a community and everyone was around to share their experiences and knowledge to you for you to be able to bring up children the right way. Now you don't have all those people. For instance, now you only someone working at a bank is married to the wife and three kids at home. The mother or the grandfather is far away in the village. So they don't have that connection with them anymore. And as
Yeah.
technology advances, now we are also competing the attention of the kids, the children with phones, social media, and all that. So, we are competing with all these technologies that are coming up. So it becomes so difficult to have. And as the generations progress, as we live on year by year, generation by generation, we lose track of all this knowledge, of all these lessons and experiences that the elderly people had or have, and we've lost track of it. So now, it is very, very important. You see, parenting was a skill passed down through generations, some years past, okay? And child raising techniques and values were shared among family members. In such a setting, the transition into parenthood was supported by a community of experienced people. So you have experienced people all around you. But now you don't have it that way. Okay. Now, there are also people who erroneously think by mistake that, oh, the fact that I love my child, then I should be able to parent the child. But of course, love is a critical component of raising up the child very well. But it's not enough to bring up the child effectively. Now, I want to make an analogy. Okay, there's an analogy I usually make. For instance, let's say you've bought a car, someone has you have a car, and the common notion is that immediately we see someone sitting in the front seats of a car behind the driving wheel, or yes, behind the wheels, then we think that the person is the driver of that car. So if you go out right now, you see a car parked outside and someone sitting in front, you refer to that person as the driver.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fact that you own a vehicle, the fact that you are in the driver's seat, and the fact that you are behind the steering wheel doesn't make you a driver. What makes you a driver is your knowledge and the skill that enables you to be able to move the vehicle from one point to another successfully and safely. You understand? So the fact that you've given birth to a child or your wife has given birth to you doesn't make you an automatic parent. Parenting should be learned. Parenting should be a skill that we consciously and intentionally pick up. Okay, I don't know if you have something else that you want to add to this before we go to why it is important for people to actually learn parenting in this current age. If there's
Okay,
nothing to, I can continue. Yes.
I would want us to continue because
Please,
pa-
before, yes. Oh, okay, okay. And everyone watching us, you can also post your comments if you have any suggestions, or you can also share your knowledge and experience with us. And if you don't understand something and you have a question too, you can just post it in the comment section so that we can have a look at it and the conversation becomes quite interesting. Okay, so okay, I'm listening to you.
okay, so please let's move on to the next point.
Okay, yes. So we have to then look at why parenting should be learned. Okay, why it is important that we take parenting serious and learn parenting. Okay, there are people that naturally are good with parenting, it comes naturally with them. But most of the time, it's only a few people that pick it up naturally. Most of the time you need to put a conscious effort into bringing up your children. Now, let's look at why learning parenting is very crucial. Why is it important that a parent, I have a child, why should I learn the skills of parenting? Why is it important that I build myself in the skills and knowledge of how I'm going to raise my child to be the adult that he or she is supposed to be? So, Ikuya, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, so first of all, what I would say about that is that when it comes to Africa as a whole, okay, Africa, we all know that Africa has a lot of issues with its leadership, and there are issues in Africa that we need people who can really solve these issues for us. And we've had leaders come, go, some do their best, some to, we all know all of that. So for us to be able to have people, or for us to be able to have leaders who can really help to make Africa a better place, who can really help to change the narrative for Africa, then we need to be more intentional with how we are raising our children. We need to be more intentional because if we are more intentional, we will be able to raise leaders who will come and, want to do something great for their nation. If we are able to raise these children with the necessary skills that we need to give them, they will grow to become who they have to become to be able to make the African continent great. And this is our purpose in Pick Parent Academy. Also, another point is that, we have to raise trauma free children.
Mm-hmm.
The yelling, what how we have been raised. Our parents raised us with this yelling, beating, spanking. They didn't really understand how to discipline a child. Okay, they did it with control. They wanted to control us. They were yelling at us, and a lot of us, we are all coming from a lot. Some of us have been able to go through healing, some too haven't been able. So we need to raise children who wouldn't have to, seek to heal. We need to raise children who will be free from trauma. And how do we do this? It is only by learning parenting that you'll be able to raise a child who is trauma free. And we can do it. It's possible. We can do it. And another point is also if you're able to learn parenting, it will help you understand the child you are raising. I always say this that the fact that you have given birth to the child, okay, doesn't mean you know the child so much. You don't know the child. You need to learn how you can know and understand your child. You need to know their learning style. You need to know their love language and all of that. And if you do not learn parenting, you will not have any idea of who you are raising. You wouldn't know their temperament. You wouldn't know anything about the child you are raising. So it is important. This is why it is very crucial that we learn parenting. And also for ourselves, we need to learn parenting to be also become so that we can become better individuals, so that we can heal from our past, from the a lot that we are coming from. If we are able to learn, if your parenting is not changing you, then it means that there is something wrong with your strategy. Your parenting has to make you better. Your parenting has to make you better. So if you are able to accept the fact that how we were raised, there is something wrong with that. If you accept that fact, then you will be okay with the fact that you need to unlearn certain things to be able to learn new things on how you can raise your child to become a wholesome child. You don't need to seek perfection. You don't need to be perfect as a parent. All you need to do is to be a parent who is willing, okay, to learn, a parent who is open to learn, a parent who wouldn't always be questioning things, but will be able to take instructions, will be able to, learn from people who know and move with it. That is the kind of parent you have to be. That is how you can raise your child into becoming who God has created them to be. Now, let's take note of this too, that God is not going to raise our children for us. No,
Hmm.
God protects us. He has given us the responsibility to raise these kids. So we can't say there's this thing we mostly say here that "Nyame na ɛhwɛ, nyame na ɛhwɛ yɛn mma." Nyame nhwɛ yɛn mma ama yɛn. We have that responsibility. It is
Yeah.
us. Let's not give what we have to do to God. God has his that he's doing. And we also need to be clear, need to know that this is what we have to do for our children.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
to end here with that point.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. I would also want to add why learning parenting skills is very crucial. You see,
Mm,
um, in these modern times, there are a lot of challenges that we are facing in human life, in human existence, that were not present in the past. And most of these issues and challenges that we are facing too are very complex, and we didn't understand them in the past. Okay.
mm,
For instance, there are certain diseases, health issues that we didn't know how to go about it. And in those times past, all that we could do was to attribute those things to the supernatural. All right.
mm,
But how lucky our ancestors or our grandparents, our predecessors in the past got in terms of health was that they were eating very healthy, natural foods. So they were able to live quite long. But now it's not the case. Almost every food you get in town has these, as it were, spices, artificial spices added, which really is doing a lot of damage to our health. So, in the past, we understood people used to live long, and you had the luxury of the experience of your grandparents and even your great grandparents to guide you. And as you lived with them and grew with them, the experiences and knowledge were transferred to you in a way. Now, there are a lot of issues like mental health, like children dealing with online safety, cyber crime, cyber security, and a whole lot of issues in the world. You know, the world is always changing. So, what we are faced with, the challenges we are faced with now, are not the challenges we used to have some years ago. This is why it is important that you educate yourself with the right skills so that you can combat all these challenges. Okay, peer pressure has taken on a different mode altogether. All right, and we also have these gay LGBTQ plus whatever coming, which is really a very dangerous and serious issue. And that alone should be a cause or a red flag. That alone should be enough for parents to start rising and taking how they are going to raise their children up seriously.
Exactly.
Parents should start moving and searching for all the skills and all the knowledge that they need to be able to protect their values, to be able to protect the identities of these families, the values, the family values, and whatever principles that they live by, whatever spiritual principles, whatever religious credo principles that they live by, so that the children will grow amidst all this chaos and still be able to achieve their God given purpose on this earth. It is very, very critical. So, in this modern age, parenting can't just be a part time business anymore, it can't just be a part time job anymore. Another thing, too, is that you see, every child that God gives to you is unique in his or her own way, psychologically, and several other things. Now, because of science, the advancement in science, we are able to understand this word. Can you help me with uh, the nature of their behavior? Okay, how every child is, the learning style of every child,
Yeah.
how they behave, whether the child is a sanguine, the temperament of the child, and everything. And these are all science based. And if you understand these things, you understand your child well.
Yeah.
So, if you learn parenting well and understand parenting, the scale of parenting, you will understand your child and know how to take care of the child and address every issues that come up with it. Okay, all the children that we have are unique, and parenting education can provide a range of strategies and perspectives which will enable parents to adapt whatever approach, okay, to suit the individuality of the child that you have. All right. Another thing too that I want us to also consider as important, or making it very, very necessary for parents to learn parenting, is that it helps you build skills that will be able to assist you in building stronger relationships. Now, there's this critical thing that we are all faced with. That there's this increasing disconnection between humans. At first, when you board, if you are moving in a trotro, okay, you sit in a car, there's no phone. Okay, so you're able to interact naturally with people and create that bonding with people. But now, immediately you drop into the trotro or whatever, everyone picks their phone. People would just tap, press the phone till they get to their destination.
Yeah.
Even at home, when we sit down to eat as a family, for families that are so strict and understand these things, they completely ban their phones from the dining tables. But families that are not aware, they just picked up their phones and they'll be scrolling, and there's high rate of disconnection. At the end of the day, parents don't understand what their children are going through. There is so much pressure, there's so much stress, there are so much challenges that our children are going through out there, especially in schools. Teachers, some teachers and seniors that are molesting our kids, and all sort of bad influences. So parents have lost touch and connection with their children. And children also have lost touch and connection with their parents. So children will rather listen to their friends than listen to their parents. Okay, effective communication is a learned skill that is vital in building strong relationships. Okay, trusting relationships between parents and children. So parenting courses, if you take a parenting course, or if you go online and you search, or if you listen to people who understand what parenting is all about, it helps build these particular communication skills and connection skills in you so that you can connect well with your children. You see, one major problem that parents face, the key reason why your child is not listening to you, if you're a parent and you're watching, please take note here. The key reason why your children or your child is not listening to you, and you're saying that, oh, my child is stubborn, my child is this, my child is that, there's no connection. You've lost that connection with your child. Okay, I believe you are with me. Like you can identify, you understand what I'm saying. Okay,
Yes.
you've lost that connection with your child. And when you lose that connection with your child, there's nothing that your child will listen to when you say it, because he or she feels that you are not to his level. The child feels that, oh, his mates in school understand him better. Their perspectives are different from your perspective as a parent. You see, children, we should take it a bit easy on children. They are new individuals, they just arrive in this world. Okay, so don't expect them to all of a sudden understand everything and know everything about how this world works. So you have to take it easy with them. If you want your child to start listening to you, it's about connection. It's about connection. If you like, try it. If you start or if you stop, if you are someone who usually yells at your child, okay, at your child, stop now and start trying to understand your child from his or her perspective. I think we have some courses, some paid and free courses that talk about how to connect with your child well and improve your relationship with your child. So, learning parenting helps you build all these skills in yourself. You're also able to resolve conflicts whenever they come about. Okay, there are serious parents will tell you some conflicts that they are facing at home, and even those conflicts are between even the parents, the father, the mother, and the child. And
Yes.
some are very complex, but you just can't teach what you don't know. You can't pour from an empty cup. It's like writing an exam. If you don't study, if you don't learn, you will not have any answers to write. So if there is a challenge that you are confronted with in your parenting and you don't know how to deal with it, how can you solve it? So you end up having a broken family and the child not listening to you, and the child will follow the influence. Right now, that's a lot of bad influence out there, follow friends and go wayward. Okay, so I believe that learning parenting is just about acquiring knowledge and skills that will help you become a better parent, because it's a divine contract. And it is your duty to make sure that the child, the little human being that you've brought into this world, grows up to be whoever God planned him to be. So I think that at this point, we can move on to the next myth or the next misconception, which is spare the rod and spoil the child. Now, this is a highly controversial statement. Okay, spare the rod and spoil the child. Even there are pastors who will tell you that spare the rod and spoil the child. Okay, so, and most parents think that spare the rod and spoil the child, this statement comes from a biblical verse. Today or tonight, I want us to look at that verse, analyze it very well. Because of want of time, we may not be able to go deep into it, but at least we would have been exposed as to why these are misconceptions and the right way we have to approach all these misconceptions, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to become better parents. So, Ikuya, what do you have to tell us about this statement? Spare the rod and spoil the child.
Hello.
Hello? Yes, I believe you heard me.
Hello.
Ikuya, are you there? Did you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh,
Hello.
yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you well.
Okay.
Yes, so spare the rod and spoil the child. What can you tell us about spare the rod and spoil the child?
The line is not really clear here. It's
Whoa,
breaking.
whoa. So can you hear me now? Or we should just go ahead. Can you hear me now? Let me try something here. Just a few minutes. Uh, Let me see. Can you hear me now? Hello, Kia, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, then I think that we just have to let me check. Okay, all right. So all right. So in case you're able to hear me, then you alert me. I think that viewers and dear parents, I think Ikuya is facing technical challenges, network issues, internet issues at her end. So yes. So the other popular myth that is worrying, that is really an issue, a critical issue, is the statement spoil the rod and spoil the child. When I was growing up, okay, whenever you went wrong and my father got to know, hey, problem. You see, like he will beat the hell out of you if he comes home and they report you that, oh, Kwame did this, or you did something wrong, or you go wrong simply whenever you go wrong. And I know that it's a common thing for most of us, most African families. You dare not misbehave, your father will lash the hell out of you. And even some of the mothers are very, very, very strict. So, growing up, I thought that the best way to bring up a child is to uh, uh, exert so much force on the child. And if my child misbehave, I'll put the fear of God, but this is not the fear of God, the fear of the king. Okay, I'll put that kind of fear in my child. Okay, please let me check if Ikuya is around. Ikuya, can you hear me? Your camera is off, but can you hear me? Are you?
Yes, yes. I can hear you now. I can hear you
You can
now.
hear me now. Then let's see you. Okay, then let's. Yeah. So if you want to come in, can you come in now? Can you hear me now? Or I should go on?
Yeah, I can hear you, but please go ahead. I'll come in
Okay,
later.
yes, yes. So, as I was saying, my father would be the help. So I came to accept that when a child misbehaves, and even going to Sunday school and Sabbath school, spare the rod and spoil the child, it's more like a rhyme that we do. Okay, until I grew up and I started searching for knowledge. Okay, I really wasn't satisfied, or I'm not really satisfied with the kind of upbringing that I received from my parents. My parent never married, which is a common thing. And there wasn't a time that I had my mom and dad even talk about under the same roof, talk about my upbringing, what is best for me, and all that. Most of us also didn't have that experience. I wish that if I had that great parenting, okay, that sort of conscious parenting, that sort of intentional parenting, that sort of positive parenting from my parents, I would have ended up far better person. I wouldn't be struggling the way I'm struggling now. Of course, I'm far better in life, to the glory of God, but things would have been quite quicker for me, better for me. All right. And I was thinking that caning was the best form of discipline. All right. Caning was the best form of discipline. And we always support that fact. But there's an issue here. There's a mistake in this spare the rod and spoil the child. You see, now when we talk about the rod, when you look at even, there's also another reference, some, I
23 verse
some,
4.
sorry, Ikuya.
Okay, so I was helping with the quotation. Psalm 23 verse 4.
Yes, yes, yes. Psalm 23, verse 4. Okay, so the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, he maketh me, and it goes on like that. And the verse 4 says that thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Okay, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Now, from a biblical and a cultural perspective, the rod is significant for shepherds. Okay,
Mm.
the rod is a tool that shepherds use to guard, to protect, to take care of the sheep. So, if a sheep is going wayward, most of the time, those of us who are familiar with cattle rearing, even now these days, cattle rearing and herding and shepherding is common in some parts of Accra. Okay, some of these sheep will just go wayward anyhow, and what happens is that the shepherds will normally use these sticks that they call rods, or these rods, to guide them. So if the sheep, they are guiding the sheep into back into their home or wherever they parked. okay, or wherever they lived, they will use the rod to guide them any sheep that is going wayward to bring them together. Okay, and it was also more like a weapon that was used to sort of give protection, so protect the sheep from other animals that want to harm them. Okay, so the rod was a means of authority. The rod was a symbol of authority. The rod was a symbol of leadership, a symbol of protection for the sheep. So when the Bible says that thy rod and thy staff they comfort me, the staff is also a certain stick that it's sort of curved on the tip like that. So whenever the sheep gets stuck in any bush or something, or is going far and you can't really hold the sheep, they use it to lock the neck of the sheep. That's the staff to bring the sheep back to order. All right. Now, what I really discovered was that the statements of spare the rod and spoil the child actually emanates from a 17th century poem by a man called Samuel Butler. Okay, I think he was a lawyer or something, yes. And the poem title was Hudibras or something. And the origin of this statement is not really very, very interesting. So if you really understand the meaning or the context by which he made these statements, you wouldn't be attributing it to how it will help you bring up your child. Now let's go back to the quotation, Proverbs 13, verse 24. Okay, I believe I'm right. Proverbs
Yes,
13, verse
yes.
24. Yes. And this is, I want to read exactly what is in there. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is delight is diligent to discipline him. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. So the rod is a symbol of discipline. Okay, the rod is a symbol of discipline. It's not a symbol, it's not something that is meaning or that means that you have to exert spanking your child and a sort of a corporal punishment or something. No, it is not like that. It is far from that. Okay, that is the true meaning of Proverbs 13, verse 24. Okay, and when you examine it in its historical and cultural context, as I'm saying, it does not necessarily advocate for physical punishment. That is not what the verse I just read means. No. In biblical times, the rod was a symbol of guidance and authority, as I said. Okay, so the verse can be interpreted to mean that parents who love their children, please listen up, parents who love their children will guide and discipline them. And discipline is not caning. So you will guide and discipline your child and not necessarily through physical means. Okay, Ikuya, can you come in here or I should continue?
Okay, so let me come in here. So when it
Yes.
comes to it's the same thing that I was actually going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about conception we've given to the rod in that quotation.
Yeah.
Uh, Let us replace it with the rod to mean discipline. Now, if we are replacing it to mean discipline, then
Hello? Oh, Ikuya is off. Ikuya is off. Are you
hello,
back?
yeah, hello. So
Yes.
if we are replacing it to mean discipline, then let's
Mm-hmm.
ask ourselves, how are we disciplining our children? What does discipline even really mean? What is the meaning of discipline? Does discipline mean beating a child? Sometimes when you see parents, when their children are misbehaving and they go like, I'm going to discipline you. How are you going to discipline the child? It mostly means they are going to beat the child, they are going to spank the child, they are going to punish the child. But you shouldn't exert pain on someone. I mean, they are humans just as we are. And if you want to correct a child, as Kwame said, you don't have to do it through force or control. You need to build a connection with the child. Without connection, you cannot correct the child. You can use all form of what you understand discipline to mean. You can use all of that and still you will not get what you want the child to do. So, discipline actually means guidance. Discipline means correction. We need to, as parents, we need to understand this. It is only by I mean, the children are empty. They came into this world knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And what we are taking them through is, they are learning as we are doing all of that. So we
Mhm.
need to be mindful of what we are teaching them, how we are doing it. Let us begin to understand that fact and then change how we do things. They don't know. Sometimes a child will do something and it may even they are really doing it because they have how do I put it? They are doing it out of concern. They are doing it out of something that is even going to help you, the
At times
parent.
they want attention. At times they want to be heard. At times they're not even able to express themselves for you to understand how they feel. So they just do anything that will alert you or that will show you that you need to pay attention to them. Yes.
Yeah, but we misinterpret the whole thing and then it ends up into beating the child. I mean, some time ago, I watched a video of a parent. I mean, he was using I think a branch of a palm tree, beating a 3 or 4 year old child. It was so pathetic. I was like,
Wow.
how could you do this to a child? What does this child know? Why should you beat a child like that? I mean, this thing is something that we need to look at. If we want our children to listen, we don't have to try to control them. You don't get a child to listen by controlling them, you
Yes,
know.
you see, one key thing that parents should understand as
Mhm.
parents, what we should really understand is that, okay, this verse, if you still think that you need to cane the child, you'll be putting so much fear in the child. Okay,
Yeah,
and this kind of fear, the child would then end up not being a confident. See, if I tell you the kind of negative effects beating, spanking had on me, I ended up being a very shy person, a very, very
mm,
shy. Even at times when my father called me, I couldn't even respond, Daddy. I couldn't respond that. And anytime I saw the face of my father, then I am shocked. I get afraid. Okay. I get afraid that, hey,
there is
so is
no
he going to
connection.
beat me? I got so timid and it destroyed the kind of relationship that a father would have had with his son. It
Yeah,
really, really was bad. So, as I explained earlier, I grew up not having anyone to listen to me whenever I had issues, whenever I had problems. And I had
mm,
to end up, it's only by the grace of God that I discovered a path that I walk on, which didn't land me into issues or problems that could probably destroy my life or probably even end my life. Okay, so caning is not something as we think that has been endorsed by the Bible. Christians, please let's understand this. Proverbs, spare the rod and spoil the child, does not mean that beat your child. No, it doesn't mean that beat your child. I always tell parents that if you resort to a discipline or the only discipline technique you have to get your child in line and teach them how to behave well is to cane them, then you lack so much knowledge. Sorry to say, you lack so much knowledge because you don't understand why the child is behaving the way he's behaving. These
yeah,
days, there are a lot of research that have been done. You see, studies have shown that physical discipline like can lead to increased aggression. And if we decided we're going to ask, a lot of parents will have examples where they get tired of their parents.
yeah.
The parents will always beat them. So at the point, they will do the bad thing, and when they get home, they are expecting their parents to beat them.
It's
Like some of us, I had mates who were so stubborn. So anytime they did a bad thing in class, and the teacher called, they were ready. So
Mm.
they'll just go and stand there and the teacher will cane them. They were okay. They've gotten, because humans always adapt. So your child will adapt to this kind of behavior, this kind of punishment. And those children that are not lucky, that have that kind of temperament, will end up becoming timid children. There'll be so much fear in them that they can't go out there into the world and perform. And you'll be complaining to them. Okay. Studies have shown that physical discipline, like caning your child, leads to antisocial behavior. And at times,
Mm.
too, it leads to physical injury and mental health problems. It is a very, very serious issue. A lot of children have mental health problems. So if you only know about caning your child, then kindly forgive me for saying that you lack knowledge on how to discipline your child. You lack skills. So please humbly avail yourself to learn parenting, the right way to discipline your child. Okay. In contrast to, you see, there are positive discipline techniques that you can use, okay, such as setting clear expectations and using other techniques that are backed by scientific research and facts. Okay, some of these techniques are very, very effective in teaching children self control and teaching them how to be responsible for themselves. Okay, and some of these methods also focus on guiding the children to, rather than instilling fear in them, you're going to be able to align them more closely with the whatever values you want to instill with them inside them. Okay, Ikuya, do you have something to say about it again? Because I think that the point you are saying is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello, I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, so parenting. So I've just mentioned a few reasons why we should not be thinking anymore that spare the rod and spoil the child and you have to cane your child. So please, if you are listening to us and if you are watching this webinar, kindly, with all humility and all utmost respect to all of you, caning is not an option. The effects that you have on the child.
Mm.
You see, someone is asking, suggest possible discipline techniques for correcting our children. Well, it's not, we don't have enough time. There are other videos
That
that
is
we've
another
prepared that we can talk
possibility.
about, yeah, positive discipline techniques. But the basic understanding that I want everyone to have is that if your child is misbehaving and the child is not listening to you, then there is no connection between you and your child. This is the starting point. There is no connection between you and the child. So find out how you're going to build that sort of connection. Find out how you're going to build that sort of communication with your child. Okay. And I can tell you, we can't go into the details of that, but what I can also tell you is that anytime, for instance, your child is there, you want to, let's say, feed your child, and the child is saying that, no, I will not eat this food, I will not eat this food. If you don't eat the food, I will beat you. Come on, get out from there. We shout at the child. I would rather suggest that no, you don't understand how the child is feeling at the moment. You don't
Mm.
understand what the child needs at the moment. And as a leader, you see, parenting is also leadership. And leadership is all about influence. So if you are able to influence someone to act according to your vision or according to the way you want things to go, that's when you are a great leader. So as a parent, you should also understand that you are a leader in the home. Now, influence is about getting the other person or the follower, as it were, getting the child or the other person to actually, okay, to actually getting the other person to actually accept what you are telling them to do as if it was their own definition, getting them to accept as if it is their own decision to do what they want to do. So you need to be able to get a child to eat the food like he or she wants to really eat it. So what I do normally, I'll go down and ask the child, oh, you won't eat. Why won't you eat? The child will tell you a lot of things. If the child is not scared and you've built quite a good relationship with the child, no, no, I'll not eat this, I'll eat that, 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 that. But if there's no other food, okay, we also have to be strict. So being positive or teaching your children positive parenting, positive discipline techniques, you should also be careful, because if you're not careful, you end up raising children that feel so much entitled. So, for instance, it is only ampesi or rice that is available. There's no other food. So, what I'll do is that I'll find a way to tell the child, okay, you, I'll get this food for you. Right now, there's no other food. Okay, so eat this food. Later, me, I want to eat this food. You're saying you won't eat. Okay, now I will eat mine. Eat some, or be with me. Help me eat this food. After that, I'll probably try and get the other food for you. And if you're so skilled in understanding how the child's brain works, you will be able to convince the child to eat quite a lot of the food. At the end of the day, you realize that he or she will get satisfied and would even forget about the fact that they didn't want to eat the food. There are other techniques, so many things. You can be praising the child, you can be teasing them with rewards here and there, but beating is really not the best way. And if we say that don't beat the child, we are not saying that leave them to misbehave. You have to be strict. There has to be consequences. I believe Ikuya would have talked about consequences. Okay,
Yeah.
there has to be consequences for every action that is done, and you should be strict by it. You should stand strictly by whatever consequences. So, for instance, if the child insult or says a word that is not supposed to say in the home, if you do this, this is the kind of consequence you're going to face. Probably you're going to miss this, or I'm supposed to take you to this playground. I will not take you there. Like, let the person feel, or let a child feel, that every action you take has consequences. Ikuya, do you have something to add again to it?
Yeah. So consequence, I actually wanted to talk about the consequences of misbehavior. So leaving the child, as Kwame said, we are saying you shouldn't shout at the child, you shouldn't yell, you shouldn't beat them. But that doesn't mean you have to be permissive. That doesn't mean you should leave them to do whatever they want. No, the child has to be guided. And you need to set, clear boundaries in your parenting. You need to set
Mhm.
clear boundaries. You need to be very consistent with what you say. And if a child does something, okay, something that is inappropriate, and then you tell the child, I will not give you this because this is what you've done. You need to make sure that you do what you have said you are going to do. Because
Mhm.
if you don't do it, the child sees it as a threat. And, mommy would just, or daddy will just say that they will do this, but really they will not do it. And the next time they are going to repeat that same thing because you just give empty threats without really following through. So, whatever consequence, that is why to give a consequence, you need to really, you need to be emotionally intelligent, okay, to be able to give the right consequence. Because sometimes the child can do something, you will be angry, okay, and you're going to say something that you are not even supposed to say. Like, you need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to really think about the
All right.
kind of content you have to give the child before you say it. And it doesn't have to be a threat. Whatever you say you are going to do, make sure that you follow through. Make sure you are consistent with it. Today, you don't say you're not allowed to, for instance, be on the screen for 20 minutes. Then tomorrow they are on the screen for like 41 hour, and you are confusing the child. The child thinks, so am I supposed to be here at this time or at that time? You need to be able to consistent. If this is the time you are spending on the screen, then make sure you have set it clearly to the child. Make sure that when it's 20 minutes, they are leaving the screen. You need to, it doesn't have to be more than 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be less than 20 minutes. You need to make sure that 20 minutes is what the child is spending, and that you're going to really ensure that it's the 20 minutes. So that is what I would want to say. Whether positive discipline strategies or negative discipline strategies, there are a whole lot that if we say I think we are almost 1 hour now. It's 1 hour now. So
Yes.
it's, if we are thinking about that, we are not going to leave here today. We are not going to leave here
Yes.
today. I would want us to come in. Please go ahead so that we
Yes,
can.
so thank you, Ikuya. Yes, as you mentioned about the time is 1 hour, we should be running up. We have another point to discuss, which is the parenting is about the child. Okay,
Mm,
but Ya Nyakon has posted something, a verse from I think different translations. One key thing is from the KJV, King James Version, and all that. Okay, but I want people to understand that you see the Bible has gone through so many translations. You can identify or you can appreciate the fact that when I was or when we are explaining spare the rod and spoil the child or Proverbs 23 13 or whatever verse that we're explaining, okay, it's not really about the grammar. It's not really about the language. It's about the the cultural significance of the statement. Okay, you can't ever take away certain things, and there are Bible scholars who really understand the original texts of the Bible. And if you always have an issue with what a statement in the Bible means, there will be two words, or let's say a single word in the Bible that you have different words. You take the KJV, okay, and you take other forms, other Bible translations too, and they all mean different things. Even typically for our Tree Bible and the English Bible, there are some translations. You realize that the English uh, version means completely something completely different from the tree version. But we are not about the technicalities of the word. We are backing our suggestions with scientific suggestions and scientific proof that studies have shown this, studies have shown that, and we are also talking about all these from experiences that some of us have had. Okay, there are better ways of discipline, absolutely better ways of discipline. Why would you try to use a negative exercise or a negative approach to correct a child, whereas science has proven that positive correction is the best form of correction? You understand? So our time is fast spent, and I also want to indicate that if you were or you are on Instagram, I think that Instagram automatically cuts 1 hour of stream from StreamYard. We are using a StreamYard platform for this webinar. So if you go off, you can come to our Facebook page and watch us, or you can still, if you join us through the link, you will still have us there. So time is fast spent. We are moving into the night. Let's quickly move to the last bit, which is parenting is not about the child. Parenting is not about the child. A lot of parenting is about the child. Sorry. A lot of parents think that if we are looking at parenting, it's the child who is at fault. It's the child who has to change. It's the child who has to change. My child is not listening. My child is stubborn. My child is this. It's the child who has to change. But what we should understand is that parenting is about you, the parent. Children learn by modeling. Children model what you do. They learn by seeing what you do and doing what they see you do. Okay, it starts from you, the parent. So, Ikuya, what can you briefly tell us about this misconception that parenting is about the child?
So parenting is actually not about the child. Parenting is about you and I. We need to have that because, as we've already said, the child comes here knowing nothing. It is what we teach them, the experiences we take them through. That is what builds them. They grow to become whoever they grow to become. And let's not also take it as parenting is just a job. We should see it as a relationship. We should build some relationship with a child. Okay. And building the relationship with a child depends on you. Depends on you. So to be able to build the right relationship with your child, you need to know that you need to change to be able to build the right relationship. If you do not change to become a better person, you can't build the kind of relationship you need to build to have that connection with the child. So parenting is about you. You just need to get better to be able to raise a wholesome child. It
Okay.
isn't shouldn't be about the child. The
Yeah.
child. Do you have something to say, Kwame?
Oh yes, yes. All I you kindly go ahead. Kindly go ahead.
Okay, so all that this is about is that it is about you. And if you accept the fact that parenting is about you, then you begin to work on yourself so that you can be able to give the teach the right skills that you need to give to the child.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So yes, what I just wanted to add was the fact that um, parenting is leadership, as I said earlier on. Okay. The child is new, just a little human being that you brought into this whole world, a big world with all these issues, all these complexities. So take it easy with your little human being that you've brought into this world. Don't expect too much from them. You are supposed to be the guide, you are supposed to be the shepherd, you are supposed to be the guardian. Okay, guard the child. You're supposed to be the teacher. You are the primary point of influence in the child's life. Okay, so what you tell the child is what the child is going to believe. What you do to the child is what the child is going to, and it's evident all across. It's evident. Parents who, like the mother and the father, don't live well, there's always chaos in the family. The children also grow up to be quite boisterous, to be quite violent, and all that. So it is about what you do as a parent, what life you exemplify to the children. That is what they are also going to pick up. So if you want to bring up better children, you see, you are the source. So you first have to change before you can change the child. And I bet you everything, every discovery in this world, in this universe, or whatever we know about science and everything, okay, is about experimentation. So if you don't believe something, just experiment with it and see how well it works. So if you don't really agree with us, just give us the benefit of the doubt and try changing yourself. Okay, you see how, or you see the kind of effect it's going to have on your child. Okay, so if you're a parent, and let's say that, for instance, I have kids, and my kids, what I've built a connection with them. I have three kids, and I've built a connection with them that anytime I go out and I'm coming back home, immediately they see me, all of them will run outside to come and meet me and hug me very deeply. Even if I went out for just 1 hour, they'll all come and hug me. It's so lovely to behold. All right. Now, I have built some sort of routines and certain things with them that it's easy for them to listen to me. Every time they see me, we hug ourselves. When my children wake up in the morning, they will go to their mom and, as it were, greet their mom. They will come to me and also greet me. I ask them how they are doing and all that. And all these things ensure that there's so much connection. The relationship I have with them is strong, such that they also look at me, how I speak in the house, the kind of words I use in the home, the kind of actions and reactions that I exhibit there. That's what they learn. Okay, so just experiment it and see that, okay, find something or look deep into yourself and say that, okay, I'm going to change for the better for my children. Okay, so henceforth, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You realize that even the songs that you listen in your home, your children pick it up. The songs that you listen in your home, your children pick it up. So please, let's really understand that parenting is not about your child, because the child does not know anything apart from what you are teaching them. The child does not know anything apart from what you are giving them, the information you are supplying to their brains, and they are able to pick up things whether consciously or unconsciously. One time, I think, I don't really remember, but I think that I have a 3-year-old girl, and I think I was playing a song, or I was singing. I was playing a song. I think I sang for just I think, a minute or so, and I stopped. And she was just playing around with her stuff and stuff. Then after 30 minutes, all I heard surprisingly was that she also started singing the same song that I was singing. She was singing the same song, but I didn't hear, or I didn't even see her listening to me consciously when I was singing that song. All right. And I didn't tell her or instruct her to also listen to how she was on point just a minute. She was on point with the rhythm. It's just that some of the words were not very clear. Okay. But you realize that she picked it indirectly, subconsciously. That is how powerful the minds of these little kids are. So you think that they are not watching, you think that they are not looking or seeing what you're doing. They are really, really picking it up. So the easiest way to bring up wholesome children, the easiest way, or let me, I won't say easiest, the simplest method to bring up kids is to be the adults you want them to grow to become. It's as simple as that. Be the person you want them to be. So if you want them to be someone who is courageous, show courage in front of them, show courage with them, and talk to them about courageous things. Use courageous words with them. If, whoever you want them to grow up to become, model it for them. Okay, that is what I can say about this point. I don't know. Can you give us your last words? What you want to add to this whole myth about parenting is about the child. We understand that parenting is not about the child. Parenting is about you, the parent. Yes, clear.
Yeah. So one thing that I would want to say as we are concluding is that parenting. Let's know that parenting is the most important job on planet Earth, and we all know it's quite challenging and all of that. But if you are able to, be intentional about it, if you are able to tell yourself that you are going to really do it, to to give it your all, you are going to really, it's going to be rewarding to you. It's going to be rewarding to you. So let us accept the fact that parenting is a learned skill. Parenting is about us, and we wouldn't just do anything if we understand these things. Once we become a parent, actually, you lose the right to say you will just do anything that you want, because now you have people, you have kids who are watching you. Your kids are going to do what you do. They're going to model after you. They're going to yell, even the way you yell at home. That is how they are going to act. Okay, so you don't just do anything at all that you want. You don't just say that is this is how I am. You need to change. You need to get better so that your kids can also model right. You need to learn to be able to also teach some skills to the child. It shouldn't be all about academic. We need to teach these children emotional intelligence skills. We need to teach them communication skills. I mean, there are lots of skills that these children must learn before they become teenagers. If they are teenagers, if we missed teaching these skills, we need to begin. It's not too late to start. Wherever you are in your parenting journey, note that it isn't too late to start. You just need to know that, okay, now I have a lot of work to do. So let me move, let me learn, let me get better so that I can begin to teach all that I have missed. So I would want to end here, Kwame. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so it's been an exciting discussion. We received comments that disagreed with whatever we are talking about here. That's good. Okay, but the bottom line is that you may have systems that are working for you, and there's this common adage, or there's this common saying that no coach should change a winning team. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you believe with all sincerity that the system you're using is giving you the best out of your children, then I believe that there is no reason to change it. Okay, but this is for people or parents who are struggling with their parenting, parents who want to acquire more knowledge, okay, parents who want more skills, parents who want to raise great children. and will want to explore all other means, more effective means in raising their children to be wholesome children, to become responsible, successful, mature adults, then this is for you. I've shared in the comment section with a stream yard. There's Later too, we are going to also share it on our social media pages and handles. You can join our WhatsApp community where we discuss common parenting challenges and also share ideas and experiences. It's all about how we can raise. You see, there's a belief and a strong conviction that if Africa is going to develop, if Africa is going to move up from where we are now to a better place, it starts from the family. It's not about our leadership. Every effect has a cause. So if we are struggling now and everyone is blaming our leaders, one thing we forget is that every leader comes from a home. So if the leader is corrupt, then the problem goes back to how that leader was brought up. If the leader is very, very genuine, if the leader is serious, it goes back to how the kind of parenting the leader had. Okay, if the leadership or if the parenting was very, very effective and the leader got influenced along the way, then it means that the parenting he or she received initially wasn't that effective. It wasn't great parenting that the leader received. Okay. And we should understand that every society, it's built on families. Every society is built on families. So if the society is going to be a strong society, it starts from the family. And family too has got to do with parenting. So it is high time African parents started rising and giving more conscious effort to how we are raising our children. We have to be positive. We have to approach the way we raise our children from a positive point. And we also have to be intentional. Consciously create, be intentional about the kind of adult you are building, the kind of child you are raising. Be intentional about it. Then you also have to be conscious. Conscious means that you need to be aware, you need to understand the child, you need to understand yourself, all other factors that are involved and is going to help you effectively parent your child. You need to be conscious of it, whether it's spiritual, whether it's religious, whether it's physical, mentally, and all that. Conscious parenting. Okay, so we thank you so much for. I'm so excited. You see, this is our first stream or webinar that we are having on this platform, StreamYard, which is also being aired on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, and um, Instagram. All right. Yes. Kindly search for us on Ikuya. Will you mention the social media handles for Peak Parents Academy so that people can? Oh, Ikuya, are you gone? Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Yes. Okay. So mention your social media handles so that people who would want to follow the Peak Parents Academy can follow Peak Parents Academy. Yes.
We are on Instagram at Pig Parent Academy and on Facebook positive parenting. I think the Facebook name has been changed, but it hasn't taken effect yet. So we will share the links so that you can follow our pages, our groups on Facebook. And we are also on X, Pig Parent Academy. You can search for us over there. But we are mostly active on Instagram and on YouTube. So YouTube, when you search Pig Parent Academy, you see and then you subscribe to the channel.
Okay, so once again, we've come to the end of this webinar. We are so grateful that you spent time with us a whole 1 hour. It's not easy being busy, taking care of children and other important things. You spend the time to come listen and also share your ideas with us. It's all about trying and making sure that we are able to raise better children. We are able to raise great children that will be able to continue from where we are going to end, that will be able to take our society from where it is now to where we are destined to be, to where God really wants our society to be. In these modern times of so many challenges, so many complex issues, LGBTQ, which has its own agenda, probably we may talk about it on another platform or whatever, and all other negative effects of technology and change that is going on in the world. It is very, very important that parents looked at the way we are bringing up our children with a more positive approach, with a more intentional approach, with a more conscious approach. Thank you so much. Follow our social media pages, and you can also join our WhatsApp community to share more with us. Once again, I am Kwame Brimpong, and I came to you this evening with Ikuya Safo, co-founder of Big Parent Academy. Thank you so much for spending time with us. May God bless us all.